how the story goes. It happened this way.
Hi, I'm Bob Davis, and in this edition of What the Flash Fridays, I just want to get you going to be creative. We're in the off season now. Now's the time, as I said, to practice. And it's also that time of year to get excited about your craft. You know, do something completely different from what you normally shoot. You know, my primary thing is weddings and events and things like that, editorial work. And then just get out and recharge my creative batteries and, you know, get my juices flowing again for the coming season. I love to photograph nature. And I'm out here in the Quad Cities area along the Mississippi River, and I just really like to get out here when it's quiet and beautiful light and photograph the eagles fishing, right? So this really gets me going. It helps me practice my timing. It helps me practice my follow focus. It helps me practice my concentration, all while doing something that I really enjoy. You know, maybe when I retire, I'll become a nature photographer. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. So, you know, let's take a few images. We've got EOS 1D Mark IV, which has a 1.3 crop factor. And this is a Canon 600 millimeter IS f4 super telephoto lens. I got it on a tripod because there's no way I can handle this bad boy. And I'm using a gimbal. Now, I don't have all this equipment as my own, so I'm renting this gimbal from Calumet Photo, which makes it really easy to track and follow focus, right? Pinpoint, very smooth, very fluid. Much easier than trying to do this with a ball head or a normal tripod head. And I'm using the Mark IV today. You know, yesterday I was out here and the eagles were relatively close. There was a little bit more ice in the water and they were closer in, so I was using the 1DX. Today they're further out, so I need that little bit of extra reach that the magnified sensor in the 1D Mark IV will give me. Effectively taking this 600 and making it like a 740 in that range. And then when I really want to bring them in tight, nice and tight, sometimes they're in a tree behind you and you want to get a nice tight shot, I'll throw on this 1.4 converter. So remember, turn the power off on your body and then add in the 1.4. Make sure you don't knock your lens over. So the 1.4 teleconverter, 1.4 and a straight up on a 600 makes this lens an 840. Then magnify that by 1.3 because of the magnified sensor in the 1DX, and you got yourself a really super telephoto lens. So it's about 1,000 millimeters right now. So what you want to do is make sure you're shooting at a shutter speed of 1,000 or above. Now you notice I've got a light meter here. This is a Sekonic light meter, and the reason I'm using that is because the eagles are going to take off and they're going to fly around the sky and then they're going to come back down someplace dark, and I just want a nice consistent exposure so the camera's not fooled by a dark background, a bright background, and then it's going to have my exposure all over the place. I'm going to be shooting in manual mode, so I'm going to choose my ISO. I want to be shooting at about 1,000th of a second, so I'm going to start off at 500. My ISO is at 500, and I take my meter reading in the direction of the light that I'm photographing in. So this is actually the light that's going to fall onto the birds themselves, the subjects. So I'm going to be shooting at 5.6 because that's wide open, because the 1.4 crop factor or magnification, the 1.4 magnification of the extender also magnifies the aperture. So it's no longer an f4 lens, it's now a 5.6. So to shoot at wide open at 5.6, I'm at 1250 ISO. So I'm actually going to go 6.3. Lenses are usually the sharpest 1 to 2 stops in. So I'm off of wide open, I'm at 6.3. There is still zero depth of field. And I'm going to shoot at 1,000th of a second at 500 ISO, manual mode on the camera. I've dialed in my white balance. I want it a little bit warm. So I'm at 6,000 degrees Kelvin, and I'm all set and ready to go. I've got my trusty Hoodman loupe. It's the only way we could see the LCD review screen to confirm that we captured an image or check my histogram for both color and exposure. This is really nice. It gives me a nice dark loop so I can loop the image and actually see what I'm getting. So now all you got to do is be patient and wait. And it's really nice and quiet, and I love it. So there's a couple eagles just out here in a tree, and there's a bit of ice behind me. And actually, they're quite the opportunistic bird, because the seagulls are out there flipping fish out of the water that are too big for them to actually pick up and carry, so they're going to try and eat it on the ice. The eagle swoops down and steals the fish away. Oh, beautiful eagle perched in the tree. And I'm just going to check my histogram. Color's good. Exposure's good. And I'm dialed right in. So go out there, get creative, do something completely different, rent a long lens, get out of your comfort zone, and get your creative juices flowing. Thanks, and join me again for another edition of What the Flash Fridays.
This is how the story goes. It happened this way a year ago. Kicking around the east side of town, just me solo. And just stage right, cappuccino in hand, the princess of my fairy tale. Had to find a way to be her man, some way, somehow. I wanna be